Latin America has been an attractive destination for people who want to hire talent offshore. We have also tried hiring there, and today I'm going to share my favorite countries in Latin America to hire from. I'm Khatia, HR manager here at Nomad Capitalist, where we help ultra high net worth individuals to go where they're treated best. I've been leading recruitment in the company for more than 2 years, and we have grown much more since. I'm looking in different parts of the world to ensure that our team is spread across whole world. This includes Latin America, and I'd like to share a couple of countries today that I have experience with. Well-known companies like Google, Amazon, some big financial corporations hire talent in Latin America, and that is not a new thing. They do that for a couple of reasons, and I'm happy to share them with you. Countries in Latin America, of course, are different from each other as well, and they do have their own advantages and disadvantages. There are some aspects that include all of them. Time zone, that's something that many companies in the US take a look at. If your team is in Europe or in Asia, it would be very hard for team collaboration to have people in Latin America. But if your company and main team is in US, of course, being in the same or similar time zone is very beneficial. We should not forget that these countries have a very young talent pool and skilled workers, specifically in roles in tech, in marketing. I always talk about how we find very suitable and skillful team members in other parts of the world, and this includes Latin America as well. Latin America mostly has Spanish-speaking population, which is very useful language if you want to expand your operations. There is a misconception that you can only hire in Latin America for only specific positions. I just mentioned tech, I mentioned marketing, but besides that, finance, which includes accounting, for example, HR, administration, recruitment, client service, all of those positions could be filled in Latin America. We personally have client teams, we personally have research teams in Latin America, and it has been very successful. What I find interesting in Latin America is that people there are very educated and have a knowledge of the world. And if you need that, that's a great advantage. I mostly talk about how easy it is to do business in certain countries and how governments are helping foreign entrepreneurs and investors to register businesses or hire people remotely. They make it easy for them. Some countries in Latin America do that. For example, Colombia. Some of these countries have very big improvements in creating more attractive business climate in their countries. Of course, in each country in Latin America have their own legal framework and their own rules, their own labor laws, and you have to consider each of them if you're hiring there and if you want to expand there. But generally speaking, they're quite flexible. They want you to hire remote workers because they know that this helps their own population. When the country's population is big, you don't really have to worry so much about general population's English proficiency. If we talk about small countries like Georgia, yes, you need a high amount of people to speak English. But if you're talking about Colombia, if you want to hire somewhere there, Mexico, where the population is huge, you don't really have to worry about certain percentages of the population if they speak English or not, because you already have high amount of people that are eligible for your roles. Especially if you're in IT industry, Sao Paulo, Bogota, Mexico City. Those cities are known for being hubs for tech talent. I sometimes talk about challenge. When you have a remote team, you cannot really see them every day. You cannot really bring them to the team buildings. If your headquarters is close to that region, it is just one flight away to go there and train the team members, create team building opportunities and all that. So really it depends where you are and where you need to hire people from. For us, Latin America was a new place to hire, and it was a bit further from where the most of the team were. But honestly, the advantages were much higher than disadvantages. So in the end, we prefer to pay those high prices in tickets and plane tickets, but actually have those team members and get that contribution from them. I'd like to talk a little bit about Colombia. Whenever I post a job somewhere and wherever I'm trying to find someone in the country, I always find it interesting how quickly I will find a talent. And whenever I had an opportunity, whenever I needed someone in that area, in that region, and whenever I posted an ad in Colombia, there was always high amount of people applying, and there was always high amount of qualified people applying. So it was always easy to find someone. And that's very important. If you're building global team, you do not really have so much time to try again and again in the same country. So you will go with the place that makes it easy for you. I think Colombia is one of them, with average salary of 700 US dollars. For qualified talent, you will pay more than that, of course, but it's still going to be much less that you would pay in the US or Western Europe. Unemployment rate is around 10% in Colombia, which again helps you to make your roles more attractive. I would say because how easy it is to find people there and how easy it is to onboard them and offboard them. Some companies that are outside of Colombia might hire remote talent. Some of them might hire only for projects or short term. And not everyone has a trust in the role that they're being offered. So if you will be the one that's going to offer long-term positions, you will gain very dedicated people in the team. I would say Colombia has higher rate of ease of doing business. According to World Bank, it's 70 out of 100. Compared to other countries in the region, I think it's quite high. You could save your time and energy and go with EOR, employment on record, not to create company there and deal with legal documents in Spanish if you're not a Spanish speaker, and so on and so on. We talk about employer in record and other solutions in this channel and in other videos. Currency fluctuates a lot in Colombia, so this changes environment for team members a lot. I think the best solution is to fix salaries in USD and not be tied to local currencies. I would say Colombia has a very high number of local national holidays. If I'm not mistaken, it's around 17. That sometimes makes it hard to make progress, but so far everyone that we've had in the team has been very dedicated, and that has not been an actual issue, but for you, maybe you should consider that. Let's talk a little bit about Mexico. It's closest to the US, and US, of course, is, I would say, biggest offshore employer. Also, there are a lot of expats from the US who live in Mexico. That's because of low taxes, low costs, and better environment in some cases and in some cities. I would say for the local talent, you would need to try a bit harder compared to Colombia, for example, to find people who speak good English. But in the end, we only needed a couple, so it was still quite manageable to find people. Mexico is very known also for tech talent, and they make around 50% of what people in the US could make. Average salary is around $880 US dollars. That's not a lot. Again, in all cases, you always have to pay more for a person that speaks English and someone that will be good for your company if you're an offshore and international company, but it's still much less than US and countries in Western Europe. Most of the countries in Latin America have a great time zone if you're located in the US, for example, but Mexico is the closest, and some of the cities in Mexico are even in the same time zone as some of the places in the US. So that makes it very easy to have live collaboration with the team members. I'd like to talk a little bit about Venezuela as well. We all know that Venezuela has been a center of attention for quite a long time now, primarily due to its economic situation, hyperinflation, security, and many other reasons. So in our case, for example, we only need a couple of individuals. We are not looking for creating 200, 300 team member departments. We just talked about how important it is to disperse your team members across the world. So that gives me and us in general opportunity to find individuals who can contribute to the team. And we have managed to do that in Venezuela. If I had to make a choice, I would say in Venezuela's case, I would go with EOR, even if it's a little more costly, because I would think that creating your own company as much as in anywhere, but especially in Venezuela would be a bit harder, and it would just easier if you navigate through EOR. I would say people, especially young people in Venezuela, would prefer to work with companies outside of Venezuela because of certain aspects, including stability within Venezuela as well. There are different environments in Caracas and in other parts of the country. So I would advise to look in Caracas just to make it easy for you to find someone that can work without disruptions. When it comes to cost of living, Venezuela is more expensive than other countries in that region. For example, Colombia. So if you're hiring a talent, make sure that you take all that into consideration to be fair. These were a few countries that I personally like to hire from in Latin America. Of course, there are more to explore, and I'm going to continue exploring. I will be sharing my findings with you later on, and feel free to comment below if you have experience hiring in those countries. If you'd like to know more about these topics, if you'd like to know more about our services and how we help entrepreneurs, investors, and other high net worth individuals, you can visit our website, nomadcapitalist.com. And if you'd like to apply as a client, go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply.